romance readers. Welcome to Illicit Liaisons with Tender and Tempting Tales, where each week we talk about the good, the bad, and the naughty of romance fiction. I am Jenna Harte, a romance author of the Southern Heat Contemporary Romance series and the Sexy Valentine Mysteries, as well as the managing editor of Tender and Tempting Tales, a steamy romance anthology for readers who like quickies.
I am Tara Leederman, social media manager here at Tender and Tempting Tales and lore maven and main fiction writer for Starship Valkyrie, a science fiction game and story universe. I write science fiction stories, including sci-fi romance and urban romantasy, and you can often find me in our anthologies and on Substack. And today we have as our guest host Eva LeClerc. She set out to write a dark mafia romance set in New York City. Somehow that turned into a dark paranormal romance set in New Orleans to Substack and now published just this last week as Shadow of Betrayal, the first book in the Oathmarked series. If you like gothic paranormal fantasy, romance involving fated mates, swoony warriors, smart, sassy women, you're at the right place. Ava loves myths and folklore that involve magic and romance, and she's also intrigued by the city of New Orleans, a whole world of folklore and magic on its own. She's working on a series of books and short stories in which she combines those loves, and you can find her not only in Kindle Unlimited and paperback, but also at SAS over the weekend in Richmond, Virginia, and in our upcoming anthology, Starlit and Spellbound. And why am I introducing her? Well, that's because Eva LeClerc is actually one of the many pen names of Jenna Harte. Hi, Jenna, or should I say Eva?
Hello, I answer to it all.
Oh, I hope this isn't like a huge reveal to everybody, but yes, Jenna and Eva are the same person.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
kind of
been
making her do
pretty.
this.
All the Jita followers sort of know because when you start brand spanking new and there's nobody who knows you, the only thing I know to do is to go to the people who know me and say, "Hey, there's this other thing if you're interested."
I think the people on the right with Heart called definitely no. Although I've been talking to other people who are associated with us, and they are just figuring it out from mostly from the similarity between what you said in your Jenna Hart email and what we were saying in your Eva email. So if they followed both, they were
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, wait a
Yeah.
damn minute. Are these the same people? How dare?
Yeah. 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 Waiting for somebody to come to me and say this other lady, Eva, is stealing your,
Your shtick.
likeness or something, right?
Yeah, we're talking to identity thief
Yeah,
Eva
that's
LeClerc
right.
today, who has stolen Jenna's identity and broken her printer, I have to say.
Uh,
Maybe
I'm
she's
not
just
in the
trying to
mood
remember.
for fixing a broken printer today, so.
All right. Well, do you want to take us into news?
Okay, well, normally we like to talk about bookish news or interesting hot takes that we've come across in the bookish world to see what we're all thinking about in terms of all this stuff. I will be honest, lately I've been getting tired of some of it. Sometimes I feel like people are just trying to fuss, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I was feeling
like,
the same way. I was watching hot takes
why
like,
is
oh my God, people.
yeah, why is this a
Yeah,
thing? Except content, I guess. But anyway,
it
my
is. Yeah.
my hot take is that I'm not a huge fan of slow burn. I do not like to wait forever for a couple to come together in a book. I've been even known to get to a point, if I'm at 100 page 20 and there hasn't been any kissing or anything, I'm like, what's going on? How long is this going to be?
The
But what's
expectations.
interesting is some of the reviews of this new book, Shadow Betrayal by Eva, have mentioned a slow burn. And I purposefully put in a scene earlier. I knew the couple would not be finally coming together till later. So I did put in a kind of a spicy bit where Damien is alone, so to speak, just so people didn't have to wait forever to have that little spicy bit. And it isn't thrown in gratuitously. He is being impacted by this bond with her. So it in my mind made sense, would make the non-slow burn people happy. But the same time, there are people on Reddit who are saying that there's not enough effort putting in all these little spicy bits to earn the chemistry and all that kind of stuff. And again, it's like, are they fussing just to fuss? Or I guess I see what they mean. I see sometimes spice could seem gratuitous, or why is this happening? The couple hasn't earned it. I don't know. What do you think, Tara?
I really like slow burns. I actually feel like a lot of romance is pretty impatient. Like, I'm gonna go back to this actually. Neon Gods. I like using Neon Gods as an example because I feel like I'm really punching up at something. I felt like it was really impatient, like impatient with its world building, impatient to get to the sex scenes, impatient with its couple, impatient with creating chemistry, impatient with emotional stakes. Like it was just very like, all right, we gotta get to the sex. It's gotta happen right now. It was like, whoa, whoa, like chill out. I read a lot of short stories that come into us and like they all have to have a three chili pepper spicy scene. And I feel like I have like a pretty good detector now for like impatience. Like is this person like incorporating the sexy scene into the plot? Does it feel like it's there for a good reason? Does it feel like it's advancing the like emotional like stakes of the couple and where they're at? Yeah, or is it just here because it's a requirement that we've put here? And like my judgment of it is sort of like based on that scale. Like I don't think Shadow of Betrayal is a slow burn. I when I was reading it, like I noticed that you put in that spicy scene, the self-love scene, like, oh, okay, we got to make sure we keep the people who don't like slow burn happy. I think that calling it a slow burn is sort of indicative of where we are today in Rome. Like people expect to get to the spice very quickly and are used to a certain amount of impatience. I didn't find it to be a slow burn. I also read your another first book in your series, the um Deadly Valentine, and I guess by today's standards, you could call it a slow burn. Like they don't get together real later on in the book, and she's kind of like pushing back on him, and he's kind of pursuing her. Like is that a slow burn? Like maybe by today's standards, it is. I thought it felt just right. I think a lot of romances that I'm quite used to or that I like could be slow burns by that standard. I
Well,
do think a
yeah, I
lot of
guess that
authors
goes
don't
to
don't
what
take
is
the
the
time to put in the chemistry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess then what is the definition of slow burn? I
Right.
guess is part of the thing. Um, yeah, at what point is it like it's taking too long? Because you're right, there are a lot of books that kind of out right out of the gate or within the first 30 pages, maybe something's going on. And a lot of times that needs to happen. There are some books out there where it starts with I'm at a wedding and I hook up with this guy and how fun was
Yeah.
that? And then they go into their new job the next day and it's their boss, right? Like, I mean, trope out there.
Yeah.
There are things like that. Traditionally, in terms of, because again, I'm old, having read all the old school, the Nora Roberts and all those, a lot of those, it just felt like those first spicy scenes came at around between 100 and 120, let's say. I remember noticing this when I wanted to start to write because I guess that's what I got to do. Like this is the
Hmm.
rule. So for me, if it's a third of the way through the book or something, that kind of makes sense because there's usually a kiss or something beforehand, right? Or there's
Yeah.
but maybe at this point now that there's much earlier in some books that have more frequent, right? Uh, I ghostwrite. My client likes to have 6 to 8 of these scenes in
Oh my
her book.
God. 6 to 8 is a lot.
So, yeah, maybe that's it. In my mind, slow burn was nothing happened till the end of the book. And
Mhm.
so it really ratchets up things. And I know a lot of readers like that. They like all the angst, they like all the tension, they like to be coiled real tight when the good stuff comes.
Yeah, I
But
think that's
that's not
smart.
me. Yeah.
I
But I
think
can wait. I can wait to page 100 or 150, right? Like
oh right,
it doesn't
yeah, yeah.
have to be
Get some
out of the
patience.
gate. Yeah.
I think that in today's romance scene, I think real slow burn to me is like romantasy duologies where the romance is taking place or trilogies or 4 books or whatever however long a romantasy set is going to be where you have the romance taking place over 2 or 3 books and maybe you don't even get the real partner until book 2 or 3 and things are taking a long time with another partner like with Tamlet like that to me is a slow burn where it's not even I can't even quite tell that it's a romance.
Yeah.
Like A Court of
Yeah.
Thorns and Roses is it's difficult to tell that it's a romance at first. It's very
Yeah.
YA in that way. Like it seems like her story, like her coming of age story.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she meets this fairy guy and he seems like a monster and then it's like, "Oh, it's a Beauty and the Beast story." Oh, okay. And like I know it's a romantasy because I'm reading it now, but people at the time must have been like is this a romance? And then she doesn't even end up with that guy. So like that's a slow burn. I think like that's a slow burn, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Not
Yeah.
I don't think
But
Shadow of Betrayal to me is a
there
slow
is
burn.
a spicy bit in there
Hmm.
before the final thing. But yeah, yeah. But then the other part of the question sort of was because I mean, that's the thing about romance, right? That somebody out there is like, this doesn't exist, but it interests me. I'm going to write it. I'm going to write,
Hmm.
about an alien romance, or I'm going to write about having format, right? Like, I mean, the independent authors push the envelope. So then the question is now that a lot of these books have moved to the spicier side, is it just thrown in there? And I would argue that even if it is, those readers probably don't care.
Mm.
But the Reddit question shows that some readers do care.
Yes.
That it's, not just sort of, and it was hard. I know the short story I just wrote, I knew to fit I had to have a spicy bit in there and was finding it difficult where to put it.
Yeah.
And then even when I found the spot, I had to work really hard to make it not be, okay, this just ticks off that box. Something else had to be going on in that moment, right? Like
Mhm.
they're coming together, but there's still, for her, the element of he still doesn't really know me. I've just handed over my whole self, even my body, but he doesn't really know me.
Mhm.
So and I'm hoping that's enough, right? That would feel like for her, okay, this was there. I've loved this man for a long time, but there's still that element of, okay, I've done this, but he doesn't know me really. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of griping from people about the lack of chemistry or the lack of longing, the lack of yearning in romance,
Yeah.
and feeling like it's just. I mean, but basically what I'm seeing is a lot of people complaining, like I do, about a lack of patience in romance,
Yeah.
and that argument feels very familiar to me. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
think that it's wrong.
Yeah. I like yearning. It makes me think of the hand flex in Pride and Prejudice
Yes.
in the Matthew McFadden.
Yeah, people love that. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember Lane and I
Yeah.
watching that when it first came out, like it was a sport. Like we were watching it like it was the freaking World Cup. And we saw him
Yeah.
do that and we were like, "Oh, oh
Yeah.
my gosh." Like we were
Yeah.
you
Because
would
that
think
was
that we
sort of
were
a
watching the
yearn,
World Cup.
right? I
Yeah.
touched her. She didn't have a glove on. He didn't have a glove on. So
Yes.
it was actually quite sensual in a lot of ways, but only people who love romance would catch that, right?
Hmm.
And of course, in the other Bennett sister, there's a scene where he's rolling up his sleeve, so we see his forearm. That is like the hand flex for that,
Hmm.
because she's
Yeah.
like looking like, oh goodness, like,
The electricity of the moment is quite good. I mean,
yeah,
I think that
yeah,
like
that
the
snap crackle pop, yeah,
yeah, the first season of Bridgerton, is that a slow burn? I like by these standards, like I feel like a lot of things that I really like could be
yeah,
termed a slow burn. But there are certain romance plots where you get the spicy bit quickly, but I still feel like the romance takes a long time to really get off the ground, right? Like if you
yeah,
go to a wedding and you have like a fling with a person, yes, the spicy bit has happened early, but the romance still has
yeah,
time. It's still a lot of time to really like play out from there. And in a way, the fling might actually slow it down in some way. So the question is not, is it a slow burn, but where's the spicy bit? Like, is it early or late? And
yeah,
I don't think
and
that these are necessarily the same thing or mutually exclusive.
yeah, and in the example of having a hookup at a wedding and then the next day he's your boss, that hookup isn't gratuitous because it plays into walking into and seeing, oh my God, the guy I slept with last night is my boss, right?
Yeah.
And so that is, part of now the conflict that plays into the rest of the story.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, it's
I would
interesting.
call that like the romance between Meredith and Derek in Grey's Anatomy a kind of slow burn. I mean, it's a freaking soap opera, so of course they're like back and forth, and his wife shows up, and there's all this stuff that happens, right? But like they start out having a fling at a bar. Like it's the show
Yeah, the
starts that
first
way.
scene, he's passed out on her couch naked or
Yes.
something, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Which I love. She's just like, you have to go now. I have to go to work. And then he's
yeah.
there at work. I love that. That's great.
But
But it's
that's
still
all
a slow
she
burn.
wanted, right?
Mhm.
He's the one who wanted more, and she's the one like, we did that, done that, off we
Yeah,
go.
exactly. But yes, then she finds out he's a surgeon at the hospital. She's like, I'm
Yeah.
not getting together with you. You're an
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
intern. That's not happening, which is very smart of her. She does
Yeah.
not keep that up, but I appreciate her
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get on with this.
All
So,
right.
Eva. you now have an Oathmark story in Devious Delectable Decades, which you just showed me and is a gigantic
Yeah.
doorstop of an
It's like
anthology.
a dictionary, right?
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, I could study that for school. A reader magnet out, which I really like, that talks about some of the Veil and a fated couple. Fun fact, reader, she actually wrote this originally for Midnight Mischief and Mistletoe and decided to use it as a lead magnet instead.
Yep.
And now your first Oathmarked book published, Shadow of Betrayal, with your next one beginning serialization soon on Substack. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about those stories and your larger project?
Oh, golly, where do I start? Well,
Mm.
as you mentioned, I thought maybe I would write a mafia story because as a ghostwriter, I've written a lot of those, but I wanted to do something different because that's how you set yourself apart. And I decided to set it in New Orleans because actually the mafia first came to America through New Orleans. But then I thought, golly, you set something in New Orleans, that changes everything because that city just has its own character in many ways. And how could you set something there and not include some of the woo-woo elements that are down there, right? And so that's when it began to shift. I enjoy the Black Dagger Brotherhood books. I loved the ideas of a brotherhood. So that's I started going with that. What if there was a brotherhood of warriors who were assigned to protect the veil, but they're not necessarily the leaders. They're controlled by a council, so there's political intrigue, and it just sort of went from there. And so what we have now is what will be a series of 5 books. And in this first one of the council members is killed, and his brother is one of the warriors and is trying to figure out like who would kill a council member? Like what is going on here? And as the story progresses, we begin to get little bits of what will be an overarching story over 5 books. And I don't want to give away too much, although if anybody reads the story in Devious Delectable Decades, they will have a hint of what they're missing. But through the book, they will discover what happened in that story that's because the story in the Devious Delectables is set in 1830, and it is the source of a prophecy, but these guys don't know anything about that. And so each book will be a different couple. There is a fated mate. They do not know there are fated mates in their world. It's one of the things they will discover. But in this
Mm.
first book, what I tried really hard and was a challenge to do was to indicate that that was there, that the faded bit was there, but they're very confused by it. Like this pull to this other person confuses them. They do have rituals around bonding. They do bond. I do have a arranged bonding between this couple. So they're always saying that's what this is. That's what this is, but it isn't because there is a faded thing. The other thing around that really I wanted to try really hard to do was that these people aren't together solely because fate said so. I wanted them to acknowledge there's this piece of me that really loves this person. So it's not that the world said, "Oh, here's my mate," but
Yeah.
that there is the feeling of love there. But then also with that is this is your person, and together they're stronger than the sum of their parts, which is what the
Yeah.
council fears, right? They don't want their
Mm.
oath-marked warriors to be stronger.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
I like
so
seeing a fated mate story tangling with like how it feels to be a fated mate and like also, developing feelings for the person, not necessarily because of, but almost in spite of the fated mate aspect. I think that's like to me the preferred way to go.
yeah,
We received a lot of fated mate stories for Fantastical Foes, and so I got to see sort of a range of what fated mates could be. And I
yeah,
found myself really liking the ones where there were some choices for the couple to make about how they felt about it and what.
yeah. Yeah, because I remember reading Black Dagger Brotherhood, and there was sense that the guy would all of a sudden be in the world woman's orbit, and it reminded me of Doug the dog from Up. Remember, he'd be like squirrel. They
Squirrel.
sort of had that response, like whoop her, like, and they always fought it and all that kind of stuff. And I always had a sense that in the end they love each other and everything. But it was really important to me that it wasn't just the universe saying you two need to be together or whatever, that it really was mutual as well.
I like in your stories that like the veil seems to have kind of a personality and wants, you know? Like it feels like like another character that's sort of being like, this is what I
Yeah.
want.
And this is the struggle I'm having in terms, because I've always written in the real world. So the struggle is to have a veil that um sort of pushes against things, but it isn't powerful in and of its on its own, right? It's trying to make its intentions or make things go the way it needs to go. But it can't just actually do it. And, you know, it was very difficult to do because in some ways it's like controlling air or something.
Yeah, it's a force. It's a force.
Um,
We have a lot of forces in both sci-fi and in fantasy, and like there it's not really a person. It can still have wants or desires or tendencies or, push things in a certain
yeah.
direction,
In my
rules
mind,
about
it
it.
was sort of a natural thing. Like it's
Mhm.
seeking balance. So it's like if you
Mhm.
had a mobile, like a baby mobile, and if it hangs in balance. But if you pick up one of the things and like lift it and that weight is no longer there, it goes wonky, right?
Mhm.
But the way the world works is it's always going to try and pull back into homeostasis. So in my
Mhm.
mind, that's what the veil's trying to do.
It's like trying to find kind of complicated ways of doing that, which I think was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So Eva and Jenna, I should say. I also have a second universe going with fantasy and dark romantasy, which appears in
Mhm.
Fantastical Foes with Devil's Handiwork. And I have a lot of novelized material on my hard drive and some of my Substack. And you and our editor, Rachel, counseled me some on whether I should start a second pen name for it, which I ultimately decided not to do. And I was wondering if you could give our listeners a little bit of an inside scoop about why you chose to make another pen name for Oathmarked, especially given that Jenna is like a very established pen name of yours.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when I was writing my cozy mystery series, it was brought up whether or not to use another pen name for that. And I just thought, I can't be me, much less two people. And I opted not to do that. And in the end, I sort of regretted it because those are the books don't get promoted as much because they're so different.
Mhm.
My readers like romance. And while there is
Mhm.
a romantic element to those books, there's no spice in them. Talk about slow burn. We don't even realize to the end of the first book that she recognizes that she thinks he is acting like a big brother, not as a guy that likes her. Right?
Mhm.
So that doesn't happen till like the very end of the book, first book. So I sort of regretted that. The other thing is just has to do with branding and expectation. And in romance, expectation becomes really important,
Yeah.
right? So if they see Jenna Harte, they're going to think, okay, this might have a murder mystery in it, maybe, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and there might be some heavy, deep and real things that go on. I'm thinking of book two in the Southern Heat series where he was in the military and some really bad things happen. And so I touch on that. Or even in book one where Drake is this guy who's been raised to be business first always and sees being sensitive as being weak or something like that. So they
Mhm.
touch on real things, but it's not gritty. There's no F-bombs in those books. It doesn't
True.
have gritty dark side. There's not on page violence. Someone might get shot. I think I shot somebody, but I knew with these new books I wanted to do that. I wanted to go into something that was grittier and darker. I wanted to the language. The spice, I would argue, they're probably comparable. It's just the language is a little different, right? So, and I didn't want to shock Jenna readers by having them read something.
Yeah.
They were like, wait, what's happened here? Now, I have told them long ago when I started this, I told them I was doing this and I would give them little teasers and say, if you like this, if this is interesting, you can follow, let me know and I will put you on the list. So when this book comes out, but there are people who don't like that and wouldn't like
Yeah.
that. So it's a more of a branding thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have very like sci-fi fantasy instincts, and I think it's just very normal in sci-fi fantasy for people to have multiple stories, multiple like worlds, even worlds that are like one fantasy, one sci-fi. Like Margaret Master Bejeweled has a fantasy series and a
Yeah.
sci-fi series, both of which are pretty acclaimed. And so my brain is just sort of like, why not have two? Like, if these guys over here can have like two genres that they're writing in, why not? But I was really shocked when it came into romance, and we were talking to, I think, Cynthia, and she was talking about all like starting up another pen name, how much
Yeah.
people were just sort of like, oh yeah, and then I have another pen name over here for this kind of thing, and I think it's because in romance the expectations are much more ironclad. It's like if you follow an author, you expect a certain, like, not just a certain caliber of romance, but a certain like brand of romance, a category of romance and you expect that to go a certain way, and you have a certain trust in them. Whereas, like, I don't know, I think in sci-fi and fantasy, anything could happen, and you kind of have to be okay with it, even though
Yeah,
there
for
are
me it was
tropes.
sort of tone and language, right? Like if these books had come out in the same tone and language as the others, I
Mm.
might have done it under
Yeah,
Jenna. But the first time the F-bomb is dropped pretty early in chapter one, so
that
I could
was,
see
yeah, I
the
like
writing
that.
language. And it's not that there's no cursing in my other books; it's just not
Mhm.
that word. There might be a
I think
damn
you
or
might have
a
dropped an
hell.
F-bomb in like one Valentine mystery I've read so far, and it was very like, whoa, that was an
Did
F-bomb.
I? Oh, now I'm gonna have to look.
I think no, I remember. I feel like I remember Jack saying an F-bomb like once.
Really? Usually it's a thought. Or I'll have him say he says an expletive, right? But I
Yes,
don't
yeah,
actually
that's usually how
say
it
the
goes.
expletive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, authors have certain important brands and like certain things that like readers do not want to receive a thing from them that does this thing, right? Like, if
yeah.
someone's a clean author, a pure author, they couldn't suddenly have a spicy line over here.
Yeah.
People would completely throw a riot, right? Like they would have to have a new pen name and not
Yeah.
tell
And
people about it.
yeah, and that's the cue, right?
Mhm.
So it's many authors write different things, but the cue is like, I know with this name I'll get this. It's sort of like anything else. I can get Coke or 7 Up or Coke, and that brand has a bunch of different flavors, right? And each
Right.
one is different. So it's the same thing. Nora Roberts she writes so fast, and the publishers came to her and it was like, it's just too fast, too much. We need another name. Was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then ultimately she agreed to do it, but only if she could write this totally other thing over here,
Hmm.
which was the
Hmm.
J.D. Robb books.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of how they got around that and decided to do that. Because she was like, and that's how they explained it to her, right? Is there's like Coke or there's Pepsi. I can't remember how it really was, but they did explain it into the terms of a brand.
Yeah. If
Like,
people are,
yeah,
they expect Coke. If they're suddenly getting Pepsi, we have a problem.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How
So,
much does she write a day, by the way? Like, seriously.
so I've seen interviews with her where she's talking like around 8 hours a day, every
Right.
day, all
Like
the
I know
time,
it's 8 hours, but
even
how
on
many words?
vacation.
Even
I,
on
you know,
vacation? My God.
yeah, I mean,
This woman,
she's always writing.
impressive.
At least that's how the interviews are. I mean, at this point, it seems like she could retire. So, but I haven't seen that. I don't think I could do that even if I had the time to do it.
Hmm.
My brain would be anytime I've written more than 8, 9, 10,000, and I've had 12,000 word days before. I cannot function.
Yeah.
Oh,
As you know, I've had a 13,000 word day, and that was a lot. That was a lot of words. I mean,
yeah.
I
Even
felt
with
good.
dictation, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
That's
It's a lot. Yeah. So,
yeah. All right. Get on to the next one. So you have another story coming out soon. This one in Starlit in Spellbound with us. In these cases, listeners, Parrish and I take on the bulk of editing decisions to make sure things are fair so that Jenna's not reading her own story and being like, approved. And we made poor Jenna's life a little difficult on this one.
they
I thought the
always
setting for
make
the
my
story was
life difficult on this.
we gotta hold your feet to the fire. Poor Jenna. I thought the setting was really fun since I love New Orleans culture and I really liked having like a jolly Cajun fella for our MMC. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners some more about your story in Starland
About how
Spellbound.
y'all picked on me? No, I'm just
Yep.
kidding.
Tell them all dish.
Actually, what's interesting is I was given feedback on the story that was right. And it was another one of those stories where I was having a difficult time ticking the box off for the spicy bit. And there'd been a reason I hadn't put it in the spot that it ultimately ended up in. In my mind, there'd been a reason I hadn't done that. But I'm a good little player, and when the editors come back and say this isn't working like this and we think you should do this, of course I'm going to listen. It's one of the things about being a writer. You do want to defend yourself and your decisions, but you also need to be open to hear what people are telling you and the critique. And that's probably the hardest part because I've certainly received edits where I've been like, nope, my way. But you have to be open to see what other people are telling you. And in this case, you guys were right that that's needed to be moved. So I did it. And I think absolutely it's better for it. I think the ending is cuter for it.
Yeah, I
So,
like the ending a lot.
I want to put that out there. Um, the other about the story, I didn't want to set another story in the Oathmarked world just because I was afraid, what if I do something and then it messes up the rest of the series? But because it's Eva, that pen name, I wanted to put it in New Orleans and, of course, have the little woo-woo around it. So in this case, I have a woman who, at a young age, drowned and was brought back to life by a traiteur. And ever since then is able to see the thread of fate on other people. And it's not a good thing when you're a kid to be able to know exactly when somebody's going to go. But she gets recruited by a group, kind of fate's little group, to make sure that fate happens because sometimes it doesn't.
Mm.
And she doesn't make it happen. She doesn't really intervene. It's just sort of there to make sure all the stars align and things goes the way they're supposed to go. And our little Cajun guy here, things ain't going the way they're supposed to go. He has defied fate a couple of times, so she's brought in, but immediately there's an attraction between them. And now she's in a rock and a hard place because she does accidentally interfere at least once, purposefully interferes another time. But that then some fate is going to collect somebody,
Mm.
right? And it could be her that it collects.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to play with. I liked playing with the Cajun. I liked getting out on the bayou. I think he's fun. It's not as dark and gritty necessarily as like the Oathmarked books, which was the other thing that I was sort of like, okay, this is sort of sounding like Jenna. But it was closer to that to Eva World, so that's why I did it as Eva. Yeah.
Yeah, I read it as it being is easily fitting into Oathmark, especially we talked about there being a traiteur. I was like, this could be like
Yeah.
tangential to Oathmark. There could be this little group of people who are keeping fate, who are like, keeping the veil happy, basically, by making
Yeah.
sure fate
Yeah.
happens or something. And so if
The
you
real
felt
challenge
like at the
was,
end of the series that is part of it, you could loop it back in somehow if you wanted.
yeah, the real challenge of it was how to end it happily ever after. I mean, if
Hmm.
something has to be handed over to fate, right? If some life has to be handed over to fate, like
Hmm.
how does it end? And I think I did all right.
I thought it was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've read a lot of series and watched a lot of series that do this sort of thing. It remind me of Dead Like Me, kind of a New Orleans Dead Like
yeah,
Me, 'cause that has
yeah,
a bunch of Grim Reapers in it, and like death has to happen, and they have to make sure that that happens, and it's very similar to your fate. Although it's zanier, it's very like Rube
yeah,
Goldberg
yeah.
machine with like little gravelings that are like mad at them if they don't let it happen. So it reminded me of that, which was great. It also reminded me of a couple of different anime slash manga that I've really enjoyed over the years. A little bit of one called Amnesia. No, the tone is not. It's not like Amnesia, folks, which is an otome anime, but it does have this like loop where you have this young woman and this young man who are together, and then she dies in one reality, and he starts jumping realities to find a reality where she lives. The problem
Yeah.
is there's no reality in which she lives, and he does too. Like it's
Oh,
just not
yeah,
allowed, basically. Like she's
yeah,
supposed to die or he's supposed to die. So he
yeah.
keeps getting offed as he jumps. And it basically breaks his brain. And then she starts jumping as well to help him and finds out. And he just turns into this like maniac, basically. And like they have to sort of heal this rift in the time space continuum. It also made me think of that, like the way that like
That's
it's finally
interesting.
healed by sort of like
Yeah.
making her survive 1 minute past midnight, and he also survives and it breaks everything. I thought that was cool. So you
All right.
serialized Shadow of Betrayal to Substack, somewhat at mine and Parrish's urging, because we also serialized
Yep.
there. And I was wondering if you have any thoughts about your experience serializing there. Like, what would you tell other authors about serializing novels to Substack if they were considering it?
The reason I did it mostly was because I wanted to get it done so I could have it ready for SAS. And this was a way to put my feet to the fire to make sure that I was posting. And I set a pretty aggressive schedule. Well,
Mm.
not compared to Parish, but I think for most people, it was 4 chapters a week
Mm.
that it was posting.
And
And
Parrish doesn't do 4 chapters a week. You have to remember he publishes different stories throughout the week from like things from different stories. But he's still a lot
yeah,
of
but
writing, but it's not
it's
the same
still a
thing.
lot of
It's a
writing
lot of
and
writing, yeah.
still, yeah. I think a lot of people who serialize might have 1 or 2 chapters a week
Yeah. Yeah, I do
of
one to
one
one.
thing, right?
Hmm.
Like, anyway, so, but I wanted to get it done. The other thing I was thinking of is because nobody really knew Eva, was it could be a way to find readers.
Yeah.
And so that's why I did it. It's challenging because I don't work ahead. I wasn't enough ahead. So there are many days where it's like, I got to post a chapter. I got to write it because
Hmm.
it's an alternating point of view and chapters are 2,000 words long, maybe. For me, that's doable. I can do that. Like for a lot of writers, especially new writers, that would be like daunting. But I was like, I
Hmm.
could do that. But those were the tough days. Those chapters were probably needed the most work. You know? Um, but so that was the hard part. Now I'm getting ready to serialize the next one, and I wanted to have started doing it already. But again, I haven't written a word of it. I'm still trying. I mean, I know what happens in each book. I know what is revealed and stuff, but you have to have the nitty gritty. For me, I have to have the chapter by chapter summary
Hmm.
to do that. I cannot pan stir through something I have to write every day and post. So,
Yeah, fair.
so that's sort of why, and really sort of thinking about what Mathis is. I really thought I want to have one of them be like a musician, and I was thinking Mathis would be it, but then I was like, no, because Mathis is a tattoo artist, so I've decided to
Hmm.
make him more artist. I think I
Hmm.
might put Theo in a band.
That makes sense.
He's my flame person. And yeah, and this other woman, how does she fit in? And so I'm really trying to get the nitty gritty. She's in their world, but is her sort of outside their world. There are families that have been sort of pushed out of the world because they're problematic for one reason or another.
Gotcha.
And that's her family. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm just trying to get down to the chapter by chapter and make sure, okay, what are the clues I dropped in the first book? How am I going to respond to them in the second book? Or expand on them and all that. There's just a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's more
yeah, it's
challenging
fancy worlds.
than what I've ever done.
Well,
So
this might sound strange because like you are normally a co-host, but I was wondering if you have any questions for me or discussion points you'd like to circle back to.
well, the only thing I think about is how you write sci-fi fantasy sci-fi romance. And again, it's a world that you've completely made up. It has its own rules, its own history, it's all this stuff. And it's like, how do you keep track of it across? Because my fear is I'm going to break one of my own rules. And
Oh yeah.
readers are good. They'll know it. Like I would know it as a reader. But as a writer, it's surprisingly easy to mess up with your own thing. Call someone the
Hmm.
wrong name, for example. Or break a rule because all of a sudden that rule is keeping you from doing what needs to be done. How do you keep track of all that?
Well, I to some degree I think it's a self-selection thing, especially if you're a sci-fi fantasy writer. I am, as you've definitely noticed, a detailed person. Like
Yeah,
just that person, right? Like I obsess over commas and I
yeah.
obsess over punctuation rules, and I like to write out absolutely everything in our podcast outline because I get nervous if I don't have that. And I make entire calendars for every single month of camp for my writing group so that I know what's supposed to be on every single day. And I have a planner with every single thing I do in a day, a little checkbox, right? Like including my supplements and the number of drops I'm supposed to put in my eyes. Like I'm just a details person. And so
Mm.
that makes me a kind of a natural fit for something like my original role in Starship Valkyrie community was the lore maven, right? Like it was my job to collect all of the little bits of lore from games and put them in the wiki. I made the wiki originally. A lot of the articles are made by me. I interviewed a lot of different players and put that information together. And the reason why it's me is because I am that kind of person, right? The other thing that really works for me is that I do have an entire community of people who've played these games, and my husband is our mechanics lead, but also has played a lot of Valkyrie and has a very good memory and a very good sense of where like Valkyrie is and what is allowable. We both have a really good sense of it. One thing we did last night is we were gaming through a fleet battle game, basically like talking about the numbers of ships of enemy ships that had to be at a battle that didn't have any players at it. And we were sitting around being like, is it 24? Is it 30? Here's my sense of it. And it was a lot of math, but it was also just a lot of lore details, you know? And Rob has a really good memory for this. You know, he remembers that the Z ships that have masers are called havocs. He remembers that the Z ships that chomp on you are called the chase ships because he has that kind of brain. So between the two of us, it's not easy, but it is much easier to keep track of continuity. And I can always ask him, you know, like, oh my God, like what month did this happen to like to Indoc 5? Like, why did we bomb Indoc 5? Like all things like that. And I do sometimes get surprised with things that happened before I joined the game, especially he'll come back in and be like, oh yeah, they bombed Indoc 5 because of a thing we did on Sigrun. And I'll be like, what, how many war crimes did you commit on Sigrun? So some of it is just that the world consists of things that players have done. And if you want to know one thing about RPG players, they remember the shit that they've done
Yeah.
forever. And they will tell you war stories about it ad nauseum. They'll remember all of the things. And like if if you find listening to those kinds of stories boring, it might not register with you. But if you're like me and you like making wikis, you're like, yeah, oh, yeah, tell me more. Yeah, why did you decide to bomb Mars? Please tell me all about that. And then you make a wiki and stuff like that. So it's to some degree, it has to do with the kind of person that I am.
I wonder if I need to make a wiki. I
Make a
wonder if
wiki.
that would
Make
help.
a
Well,
wiki.
I'm thinking that maybe it would help me, but then I'm
Mm.
thinking it would also might be, assuming readers enjoy the book, something they might like to look at too. I don't
Mhm.
know.
Make a wiki for
Yeah,
yourself.
you'll
Yeah,
have to help.
even if it's just for you, make a wiki.
Yeah,
The Valkyrie wiki, I still, even though I wrote most of it, I use it as a resource,
yeah. Because
and
I
I also
know,
use
like,
it as a way of interesting players and stuff.
yeah, because I've been to wikis. Like I mentioned earlier, I enjoy the Black Dagger Brotherhood, and I don't know if it's a wiki. I know wiki fandom or something like that, maybe. I don't know
Fandom
exactly what
wiki.
it is,
It's
but it
probably
is
fandom
one
wiki.
where it's
Yeah.
like, I forgot who this is. I can go look who this is. I know the
Hmm.
major brothers, but sometimes there's other people, and I'm like, I don't remember who that is.
Yeah.
So I can go look because her world's gotten pretty big.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was using the Outlander wiki yesterday, which
Ah,
is, by the way, like a little
speaking of
weirdly put
which,
together, but it's a fandom wiki. It used to be
yeah,
Wikia. Starship Valkyrie used Wikia, and then when they transferred over to being fandom wiki, right? It was weird because it's actually made by the people who run the game. It's still a fandom
yeah.
wiki, but it was Wikia before when we started it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So that was a good question, Jenna. As you all know, folks, Outlander ended this year, and Jenna has been raring to talk about it. I had like some serious catching up to do on this since I don't have stars, and season 7 basically got to the last of the material I had read, and then started getting into stuff I hadn't read in the last few books. And I haven't read the most recent novel. So I was wondering what your thoughts are about the ending, Jenna, and what's most sticking in your craw. And
Yeah.
feel free to talk to me about it and what I think happened. I've basically put it all together in my mind. I've got things
Yeah.
that annoy me and things that I think were great.
Yeah. It's not really in my craw. It's just needing to process it with
Gotcha.
somebody. I do want to say when I was watching the season, it felt a lot like, oh, we got to wrap all this stuff up and show
Mm,
all these people and stuff.
but you're gone.
Which is nice, but sometimes it feels a little jumpy. Like, what are we
Mm.
doing here? Like, what's going on? So there was that. There was the episode, and there'll be spoilers in here, people. So,
Oh
you
yeah, by
know.
the way, you don't want to be spoiled for season 7 and 8 of Outlander. This is your time to exit, folks. We are
Yeah.
Tender and Tempting Tales. Please find us on Substack and Instagram. Go ahead, Jen.
That's right. Um, there was an episode where the woman has two babies, and one of them seems to pass.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's Claire with the blue light, and I remember in the moment watching it going, what? What? Like, what is this? And then I had to remind myself, oh yeah, okay, so this is a woman that went through time through the rocks. But for the most of the series, that's the only woo-woo element, really,
Yes.
right?
It's
Like,
low fantasy in the lowest form.
yeah, the only thing is the time travel. And then I remembered back, oh, there was the Native American woman who told her you will
Mhm.
come into your, all this stuff. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's coming back to me now. So this must mean something. And I was on edge. What is going to happen? Is he going to die? Is he not going to die? Is he going to die? Is he Jamie? Because there was the book.
Yeah.
It was Frank effing with them or
He
not,
was
right?
warning them. But yes,
Okay.
it does
No,
seem
well,
like he
no,
was fucking
listen,
with them.
but through the whole time, I was with them on like, what is going on here? The, then there was the part where um Bree says her nickname, and it turns out the book is dedicated. And I was like, okay, why would they not know this by now? Like, how would
Mhm.
Claire not know that that was the nickname? How would she have not looked at the book and know that that was not the nickname and understood what Frank was trying to do? So there was that bit where I just thought, okay, they were playing fast and loose a little bit.
There's a lot of fast and loose. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. They had to wrap it up quickly. There's reveals that they did.
yeah,
They're very different from the reveals in the
yeah.
book. If
But the
you know,
thing that really stood out, and the whole thing about Franny,
Fanny. Oh, don't. This is the thing
yeah,
this is the thing I'm mad
that
about.
that I thought was why like what was the point of it? Except we know she's a time traveler, so clearly maybe there's a future for her doing something. But anyway, the ending
Mm,
was the thing that when it was done, I had to go back and watch it a couple times because I have a sense in my mind what I feel like what happened. I think you can interpret many ways
mm,
in what
mm,
happened, and I know what
mm,
my choice is,
mm.
right? But I also like wanted to be what did other people think? And of course, what happens was for some reason, Jamie's men were not very good. We feel like we won the battle, but
Uh-huh.
somebody did not disarm one of the leaders of the opposition. Like that guy needs to be punished for that. And
Yeah.
he shoots Jamie
In the heart.
basically in the heart.
Yeah.
Claire feels it immediately. She goes back, weeps over him, and she will not leave him. And this is interesting because she's a healer. She's been around life and death quite a bit in both the worlds. She understands what this means, but personally unable to leave him. That's the
Yeah.
kind of angst and yearning and ache. I think
Yeah.
readers, when they talk about wanting it, that's what they want.
Mhm.
They're like, they leave her alone there. Pretty soon, Roger and
Ian, I go
Ian
check
are
on her. Yeah.
there. I'm like, why hasn't anybody gotten anyway? Whatever. Because they're like, it's like 2 days. She's
Yeah.
just weeping and grieving, and then we see the montage. We see the montage, okay? Which again is like, okay, a great reminder of what we've been through these last 8 years. Confirming Jamie was the one looking up in the window in
Yes. Yeah.
1940s. And then the thing where he walks away, but now he's walking at
To the
Craig
stones.
Lagoon.
Yeah.
He's at the stones, and the flowers come up, the flowers that lure her there in the first place. So I'm
They're
like, we've done this
forget-me-nots.
is not the first loop of this, right?
Yeah,
Like that's in my
they're
mind.
forget-me-nots. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're the flowers that she goes up to collect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he sets the flowers there. So we see all the things. And then of course at the very end we see her laying with him. Her hair is now completely white. Her eyes open and
And
he
his eyes open.
gasps.
Yeah.
He gasps for breath. So in my mind, okay, blue light, like the baby, they're gonna go live again. In my mind, that's what's happened.
Yeah.
But some people think she died with him. I don't know. What do you think?
I watched it. I saw it. I was very clear to me what happened. I think that they telegraphed this very well. for a fantasy, they over telegraphed it. Actually, they telegraphed it 3, 4 times to make sure that we got it. And I was really surprised that people were like thought this was a controversial ending. I was watching on YouTube last night trying to figure out like, why does Jenna say this is a controversial ending? I felt like it was very obvious that they survived. It,
I
you
didn't think it
know,
was controversial. I thought it was there was different ways people were looking at it, and I needed someone to process it with me.
yeah, I know. I saw a
Is
lot of
what I
people
need.
being like, did she go to heaven? Did like there
Yeah,
was controversy over this. People were like, what happened to that ending? And I think that that's
yeah,
bad media literacy. If you don't know what happened, it's very obvious. Like there's this, she's told you will come into the height of your power when your hair turns white. She brings the baby back, part of her hair turns white. She's giving part of her life force to bring someone back to life. It's easier to do this with a baby because they're small. Much harder to do it for Jamie. It takes her all night to make it happen and it turns all of her hair white. I think that she basically shares her life force with him and brings him back to life. They've done all this telegraphing, and it seems to me like Frank made sure she was there to make sure that that would happen as a sort of last act. And he was, it did seem like he was also messing with them. It's kind of a D's nuts. You can't get me back from the grave, like
yeah.
I could get my last one in on you, but
Uh,
I do think that he was making sure that Claire would be there to save Jamie if she could. Now I don't think he knew it was via
oh
magic,
no,
but
I didn't. Yeah,
probably a
I
surgery
thought
or something.
I think he did it to protect Brianna.
Yeah, possibly that
I,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My thing is she brought him back. The thing is like, there's a lot that you have to remember, even though they tried to really sort of remember this, remember this, remember
Hmm.
this, remember this. There's a lot you sort of have to remember for that scene to work,
Hmm.
really. Because I don't know that they replay. Did they replay when the Native American woman told her you'll
No,
come
they
in?
did not go back to that.
Yeah.
It was something you
So
have to
you
remember
have to
from
remember
3 seasons
that.
ago.
Yeah. You have to remember that. So, anyways, so you think he came back to life too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's
Live to
pretty
die another
uncontroversial.
day.
Yep. Yeah, I saw there were multiple things they did to sort of reassure us of this. So I think the faith thing was done specifically to establish this, and that they did that in a rather rushed way from the end of season 7, saying that Faith survived and that Claire was able to bring her back with the blue light in order to do this. Like, there's no other purpose to it other than to give us Fanny. I don't like it, to be honest with you. And then they had her bring back another baby just in case we didn't get it. And then they made sure that David cannot travel through the stones so that we know that Brianna and Roger and the whole family won't be leaving them, so we don't have to worry about that. Like they did a lot of things to be sort of like Claire and Jamie live, and Brianna and Roger stay there with them, and all the grandkids stay there with them, and the post credit scene, which I also hard no do not like, but they did it anyways. I gotta talk about it. They show Claire writing in this journal, and
Yeah.
it's implied that Diana Gabaldon gets from the
Yeah.
journal the
Yeah.
whole story. Now,
Yeah.
this story is very long. And Claire had just started writing it in season 8. Ain't no way she finished it. Look how long it's taken Diana freaking Gabaldon. Claire did not finish right
Yeah.
now. She's got years to go
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
finish writing this. 30 by
Yeah.
my count. If she
I
goes at the
thought that
pace
was
of
a
Diana
cute,
Gabaldon.
yeah, I thought it was a cute wink,
It was cute. It was very cute.
Yeah.
And then going
Yeah.
back to the 90s to do it with and seeing that old cover, man, that took me back. But it was a little too cute. I
Yeah.
found it a little too
Yeah.
cute. I was like, "Oh, Diana, come on, you guys."
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Diana Gabaldon wrote the second to last episode of this season. She was there the whole time, advising them and stuff like that. The faith thing, apparently, she's going to reveal in book 9. I've seen some writing for that, with a locket of fannies, I guess. I think it's there to establish this. I mean, there isn't another good reason to do it other than to establish that Claire
Yeah.
can bring someone back to life.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I actually went back and rewatched the episode Faith from season 2, and they do bathe her in blue light. I thought it was mood lighting because Louise de la Tour gets bathed in it when she comes to visit her. And the timeline doesn't make a lot of sense to me because, like, if she still has puerperal fever when it's happening, then when Master Raymond comes to help her, he could just tell her Faith is alive. I've got her. It's cool. Come find me
Yeah.
later on. And
Yeah.
if it's
Why would
after
they?
that, then like how did he come back and get her after he's already healed Claire? And he also knows she survived because he's the one who healed her. So why would he keep Faith from her? Neither of these to make things make sense to me. I think it cheapens the whole thing.
Yeah.
And to to save her life just to kill her like later and to kill one of her daughters is nonsensical to me. The only
Yeah,
reason to
they
do
had
it
a
is to
very
establish this
difficult
thing.
life,
Yeah.
right? They had a difficult life. What, the eldest daughter had a very difficult
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, she's a prostitute, and I it's lovely to see Claire and Jamie taking in Fanny and taking care of her. That's fine with me, but that she's actually Faith's daughter is
Yeah, because they've
I
never
I don't I don't
raised a
feel like Mother
child
Hildegard
together,
would let that happen.
right? And in my mind, that's what it was. They're raising a child together
Hmm.
because, by the time she comes back, Fergus is grown up and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I didn't like, the Fergus episode too, broke my heart a little
Mm.
bit, but good for Marcelly, man, and her kids like, we'll
Yeah.
do this, you
Yeah.
know.
I can't believe they killed him off in another
The
printer
thing
fire. Like
about
a printer shop fire going down. It's like how many printer shops? It's true that printer shops did tend to light on fire, but Jesus.
a lot of fires took a lot of things.
Yeah.
I live here in Virginia. I live not far, I live only 8 miles maybe from Monticello, and less maybe than a mile is where Monroe lived. They were neighbors. And there's tell of a ghost there that was killed in a fire from the
Hmm.
fireplace. Like she was set on fire from the
Oh Lord.
fireplace. Like the house didn't burn down. She just,
This was her.
fires were an issue back
Yes,
then.
that's very true. Yeah.
Kitchens and stuff like that. The other thing about Fanny that was thinking about was that Fanny's mother is, you know, Jamie and Claire. Um, Fanny can time if Fanny times travel, can she go forward? Like, how does the time travel? Like, could she go forward? Like, let's say David was in there and Jamie, remember Jamie says, "Hey, if this goes bad, leave the baby with Ian
Leave the
and
baby with
Rachel."
Ian, yeah. But also,
And
like, Claire
and
tells him that's not happening.
yeah,
Not doing
yeah,
that.
I know. Yeah, I know that. But I
Yeah,
mean, let's say he could travel and this
right.
went badly or whatever,
Mhm.
could Fanny go forward with them?
Like, of course.
Because no, we've never, have we seen people go forward?
Yeah, we have.
I've only seen people go back and come back.
Buck goes forward. Buck goes
Oh,
forward to
that's
Roger.
right.
Yeah.
Buck goes forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
Buck goes forward in season 7, which that's material that I'm familiar with. I
Oh,
like Buck a lot. It's nice to
yeah.
see him.
Forgot
The
about
Noka
Buck.
Levy thing, I was like, oh yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes forward. The rules of it are basically that someone has to be waiting for you on the other side to pull you to them, and that
Okay.
controls the year you go to. Or you use blood and stones to control where you exit, right?
Yeah,
So
because it
either a
seems
person
like a
does
lot
it
of
or magic.
people didn't necessarily have a stone.
That
That
I don't know. That
that
gets
was one
loosened
of
up
those
after season
rules that
3.
got a little weird. And I don't know, like, do they really need blood or just what's her face? Galis just think
You
that.
do not need blood. You do not
Yeah,
need blood. Claire never used blood.
never.
Gala says that it keeps you safe, and it does appear to keep her safe. She doesn't get knocked out when she goes through the stones, and she is able to control where she goes. And no one's pulling her to where she goes, you know. Galis goes where she wants to go. And that everyone else is getting pulled to various people, and it's more uncontrollable. I mean, that's the reason why Buck is pulled to 1980 is because he's pulled right to Roger.
Right. Okay.
And he can't control
Forgot
where he's
about that.
going.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a crazy show.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to watch Blood of My Blood now, god damn it. Once I get
Yeah.
into Outlander brain, I can't turn it off,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
It's just
like
hard.
I said, I started to watch it and then there was just things going on. I was like, I just don't. But I would be curious about the future, like what happens after the war and what Mandy in particular. I mean, as a young woman, she could go forward and she'll be in the 80s and 90s, and it's still hard for women, but harder back in 1880 than it is in 1980.
Yeah, yeah. The
So,
show really privileges the family staying together. That's the thing that seems to be the most
yeah,
important to the Frasers and the Mackenzies, at least, you know. I like the idea in Blood of My Blood of going back to the good old days of like, you know, Dougal and Galis and being in Scotland. I want that kind of stuff. I mean, I was watching this and I was like, you know, I could be watching season 1 the whole time through. That's hard to undo. The American War stuff is to me like it feels like I'm back in like 5th grade social science.
yeah. Yeah, I wish they would go back. I wish they had gone back to Scotland and
Yeah.
stayed in America. I mean, he's got to be war weary.
Yeah, seriously. And Scotland's safe at this point. Scotland in the 1780s is great. They're starting to get closer to the Scottish Enlightenment. That's good stuff,
Yeah,
you know? Like go back there. You can go be a printer
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
did
do
miss
like
I
in
miss
season
the old
7 where we
Jamie
get
as
more
well.
Scotland. It's nice to be back at Lallybroch for both the 1739 stuff and also Jamie going back and dealing with his unfinished business. I like
Yeah,
going back to Scotland and dealing with that. I thought they
yeah.
did a really good job because the last thing I read in the books was Sir John and Claire getting married and then Jamie reappearing. That's at the end of the last book that I read. And I like the way they did the like Jamie getting his friendship back with Sir John. All of that was really nice. I like the way that he and Claire had it out. That was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. That was another one of those ones too, though, where, and I've said this before, Claire sometimes is too hard on the men who love her the most.
Hmm.
Um, of course he'd be jealous, you know, of course Jamie would have feelings about this. Um, and you could tell he could understand it. The guy understands, but that doesn't mean he has to like it, right?
Yeah. Jamie can roll with some stuff, and Sam Hugan can pull off some difficult lines. Just like
Yeah.
not bad lines, just really
Yeah.
difficult lines. And some of the
Yeah.
things that he says, it's like I could not pull off that
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah.
Not with the feeling that he does. He talks about Lord John and Claire both telling him like that they were effing him with each other. He pulls off that line like a freaking
Yeah.
champion. Like that is a
Yeah.
hard line to say.
Yeah. And you could think, like we can say, yeah, they were kind of drunk and doing what, it wasn't really about each other, right? It was
Mm.
about him.
Yes.
But when you're him, it
I
doesn't
feel
make
bad
a
for him.
difference,
Yeah,
right?
I feel
Like
very bad for him.
you had your hands on my woman. But of course, he's not into women. So that's, you know, yeah. So,
They're trying to explain some very difficult feelings to a like Scottish 18th century warrior. And I gotta hand it to Jamie. He rolls with some
yeah.
crazy
But
punches.
even if it happened today, I think it would be really natural, would be difficult to,
Yeah.
we thought you were dead. Well, okay, but I'm not.
Yeah. I see that you were both screwing me through each other, but I'm me. I have
Yeah.
to live with this
Yeah.
now.
Um, and I could even see, I could even see him being okay with them getting married because he's protecting her, like,
Yeah,
when,
from being executed. My
but
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the actual sleeping together, that would be a difficult one, but
Yeah.
he gets through it like he always does.
Of course, I wanted
Yeah.
to go back and watch season 1 immediately. The
Yeah.
ghost thing. Okay, no, the ghost thing. This
Okay.
this was so nice, actually. This has been my theory since I was a kid, that the ghost was actually sort of him having this near death moment. And he has two near death moments, well, several near death moments, but he has this one. And he also has another one on Culloden, which I had always thought that his near death moment at Culloden was the one that led to this young man looking at her up at the window. That, you don't know if Diana
Mm.
Gabaldon
Yeah.
planned to do all of these books or planned to do anything past Culloden, but to me, it's Jamie frozen in that Culloden moment where he sees her. And it was kind of nice to have that affirmed that it's actually not him at the end of his life, but actually in the middle of a near death moment, sort of like pulling Claire back to him. And there are a lot of moments where she is either brought back from the brink or he is brought back, where you sense that their connection allows them to share life force.
Yeah.
The thing that I went back and watched the season 2 episode Faith because I was like, okay, where in Mother Hildegard's speech does this happen? But the thing that stuck out to me is that the miracle in that episode is not Claire bringing Faith back to life; it's her saving herself. She like saves herself. She heals herself. They make it more Raymond healing her, but really she's healing herself. He says, "Call out to Jamie," and it's like their connection is the thing that allows her to heal
Yeah.
herself. And then you see her enacting that again, using their connection to heal Jamie. And he's the
Yeah.
thing that pulls her across the stones so many times. So I really think that they were going back to that connection so that she could
Yeah.
save him. That's why
Kind
it
of like
felt
a
so obvious
fated
to me.
mate, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. At least time loop mates. Kind of.
Oh,
It's a closed
anyway.
loop, right? Like she came back to him in the past. He is a ghost in the past, made sure that the flowers were there to pull him back to her. Closed loop. And I like that. That's
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
It's a
And
little
off we
bit of
go
bow.
again. But
Yeah.
and then now I'm curious, like, what's their life now?
Yeah. Hopefully in peace and back in Scotland.
But it's still the middle of the Revolutionary War, right?
Back to
Yeah.
Scotland with you. All of you. Go back to Scotland. No
Yeah.
more Fraser's Ridge. Get out of there. Get out of
Uh,
America.
Oh my golly. Oh, we got
Jenna, press
news.
news.
News. All right. Well, I'm going to be at SAS, which stands for, I believe, sexy and sensual signing or something like that. It's a
Something like that.
romance author event in Richmond, Virginia. I'll be there this week. This Saturday, I'll be there with Rachel, who's my sister. She's going to be actually manning the Tender and Tempting
Mm.
Tales portion of this table that has me and Eva.
Yeah, Rachel's also one of our editors, folks. That's why she's manning the
Yes.
Tender and Tempting Tales table. Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, she's going to help. Tara's going to be at LFG Con in August with copies of the anthologies and her own book, right?
Yeah, I'll be there with Contact
Yeah,
Unknown. My first
yeah.
author signing event for it. I'm very excited.
Fantastical Foes came out this month, and you got to grab a copy because those stories are really nice. Those are good ones. Um, Sapphics of Saturn call comes August 1st. So if you write Sapphic, if you write sci-fi, Tara wants to read it. It
That's
needs to be
right.
7,000 words or less, though. Vows and Valentines will have a call for in October. That will be an anthology for Valentine's Day. 2027 anthology and zine calls are posted over on our Substack, and we got a lot of them. There's
It's gonna be a
something for
full year.
everybody there. Dark, light, whatever. Go
Mhm.
look. If you're a
Yeah.
writer, there'll be something there for you. Um,
Pirates, sports, romance, we got everything.
Pirate sports, first responders. The only, it needs to be a romance, needs to have a three chili pepper spice. Those are really it. We also have Laura Ray, who we had on the podcast, mentioned us on her YouTube video where she gave some updates of her previous topics, but still not the dino.
She hasn't figured out that the Dino, there's been justice for Dino, but we are on Justice for Dino watch at this point.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a good video. Go check it out. And then Author August, who's hosted by Friends of the Press, Mariah Inkeman, begins soon. And you can check that out on Instagram.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Jen. I like giving you some news to read out. All
Yeah.
right, folks. That was a long episode. We talked about Outlander for a while. Hope you really enjoyed it. We are Tender and Tempting Tales. You can find us on Substack, where we have romance articles every week written by Jenna, by myself, by guest authors. You can also find our podcast there. You can also find us on Instagram. That's Tender Tempting Tales Instagram. Basically, we have a post every day talking about our books. You can learn all about our anthologies. We also have a freebie story if you sign up for our mailing list. That was written by Jenna Harte. It's about time. It's about damn time, and that is linked to her story. It's a matter of time in fireworks and flirtation. You can find all of Eva's links in the doobly doo for this or in the show notes. And just know that Jenna also just did the release of Shadow of Betrayal through Eva LeClerc. It just came out more recently. And you can go and order it. Please do take a look at it. And she's going to be publishing to Substack very soon, her next book. So you'll want to follow her there on Substack. And thank you so
Now, the
much.
first chapter is still on Substack. If you go to
Yes,
Eva's Substack,
go
you
get a
can read the
taster.
first chapter of Shadow of Betrayal, and
Hmm
I know you'll want the next one.
You
So,
gotta go get it. And it's on
yeah.
Kindle Unlimited. So if you have that, you can go read Shadow of Betrayal right now.
Yep, yep, yep.
And remember,
And
we're a small indie press. So reviews, getting the books, reading us on Kindle Unlimited, telling people about us, that's all really important to us. We're not only an indie press, but we're also uplifting new and emerging indie authors. So if you like indie authors, if you want to support indie authors, if you want to discover new romance categories, new romance authors, this is the way to do it. Come and read Tender and Tempting Tales. Hot girls read Tender and Tempting Tales.
ha, now you won't get in trouble though for saying it. So.
That's right.
Yes, everyone, thank you for listening. Wherever you're listening to us, please, follow and, leave a comment, leave us a hello or whatever. Maybe you have a different take on Outlander. Love to hear it. And until next time, peace, love, and happily ever after.